Hey there, Mr. Witherow here. Today we're going to talk about exponent rules. There's a couple things that we need to keep in mind when we're talking about exponent rules. Most of it's going to be deal with vocabulary, all right? So what we have is there's three different parts that we look at. We have a coefficient, we have a variable, and we have an exponent. All right, so this right here, this number that's attached to a variable is a coefficient, okay? I also refer to this as a big number, right? Because it's bigger than this little number over here. This is called an exponent. I refer to this sometimes as little, the little number. And then the x, or sometimes it's a number, that is called the base. So the base has an exponent and the base or the variable has a coefficient. So we have a coefficient, a base, and exponent. We have to remember that. Now, also, we have to understand one thing. Every number and variable has an exponent. We just may not see it, okay? Has an exponent. What I mean by that is that if you don't see one, it is one. If you don't see one, it is one. What I mean by that is this 3 right here has an exponent. We just don't write it down because it's a 1, right? This comes in handy when we're talking about some of these rules. We have to remember that everybody has an exponent of 1. All right? Okay, so let's get into our first one. Our first one is the product rule. The product rule, I'm going to turn this over so we can focus on it. Our product rule just means that, again, we are going to multiply the big numbers, or the coefficient, and we're going to add the little numbers, or the exponents. So our problems look like this. So when we have problems that look like this, again, here's that, if you don't see one, it is one. This A has a 1 here, right? So that A has a 1, so that way then we can add. So there's no coefficients. The coefficient is 1, but we don't ever write the 1. So 1 times 1 is 1, but we don't write it down, so let's not write it down. And then 2 plus 1 is 3, so this is just a to the third. You'll see it a little bit more here when we actually have numbers more than just 1. So if we multiply the big numbers, the coefficients, we're going to multiply those. So I go ahead and tell myself I'm multiplying those, and then I'm adding these. So 5 times 6 is 30. Then we put the base down, which is the x, and then 2 plus 4 is 6. That's it. Lastly, if we add more variables and such, it's the same. You're going to multiply these two numbers, the coefficients, the big numbers, and then we're going to add the 2 and the 3 on the C. And remember that this D has a 1 here, right? And we're going to add it to the 5. So 8 times 10 is 80. And then we put the C down. 2 plus 3 is 5. And 1 plus 5 is 6. And that is the product rule. All right, product rule. Multiply the big, add the little.